Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Hello. All right. We're just getting logged into Facebook and people are joining here on Zoom. Hello, everybody. I'm Crystal. I am part of Team Chala. I'm Chala's assistant and runner of all her backend and tech. And today we are taking over the meeting. And I'm here today with Dale and Brenda. I'll tell you more about them in a second, but just so you know, uh, is not with us today. And we do this because, this is just your chance to connect to two amazing clients of hers and listen to their success stories. And you get to ask them anything without Chala being in the room. You don't have to be nervous about that. So she can't hear us at all. So welcome everybody. First of all, I'd love to introduce you to Dale Curtis. He's the CEO of Dale Curtis Communications, and then Brenda Jones, CEO of Jones PR. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
So, Brenda, it's nice to meet you this way.
Yes, nice to meet you, Dale.
Been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks. And, our mission here is to compare notes about our experiences working with Chala.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us, what was your situation and why did you decide to hire her when you did?
Well, here at Jones Public Relations, we really wanted to get into the aerospace business. We had done a little bit of work in it, but we really wanted to expand. And what we were finding is that, especially in the aerospace industry, and probably specific to Oklahoma, first of all, aerospace is the second largest industry in the state of Oklahoma. So it's very, very large here. But what we were running into was that a lot of the aerospace companies who are here, they have national headquarters who make decisions on marketing. And the locals really did not have that decision. So we needed to, break through that barrier. Now there's a lot of smaller aerospace companies here in Oklahoma, and we needed to shorten that sales cycle. And part of that was since I own the company, a lot of the new business falls upon me, and so I have two really, really strong vice presidents, and so we really needed to enlist Chala's expertise to help train our my vice presidents on how to increase and better fine tune their sales and marketing skills, so that we could make a deeper deeper intrusion in what not intrusion, but penetration, I'll call it, into the aerospace industry, and get over the obstacle of them having national headquarters that usually makes those decisions.
Understood.
So what about you, Dale? What made you bring on Chala to help your firm?
Yeah, and in fact, we have something similar there in that quite often my clients have a headquarters somewhere else, but they have issues in Washington. They have major legislation or major regulations that are going to affect their company, their industry, and they've got to communicate effectively to advocate for their company's interests or their organization's interests. So we do custom content and communications outreach programs for companies and associations, primarily in tech and telecom. I was mentioning to you, we've done a lot of wireless and public safety related work. And when I met Chala, I had a 2-year run of just really weak business development, and I had pitched a fair amount and was not closing deals, and my business was shrinking and I couldn't really figure out why. And when I heard her present and she mentioned the kind of pitch that doesn't work, I was like, oh no, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
It was sort of a laundry list approach. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I serve every industry you can think of. So, I was in a tough spot. I was looking at going into the red that fall. It was about a year ago. And I knew I had to change something, and it seemed like Chala had a good system, and I took a chance, and I'm happy that I did.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So tell us about the kind of work you did with Chala.
Well, yes, what we did was, so myself and our leadership team, which really consisted of our two vice presidents, we met with Chala for a full day. And, although we're in the marketing business, we had so much more to learn. And really we had a lot to learn on sales and sales techniques. So we met with her and did a full day sales training. And that was very, very helpful and for my whole leadership team. We also learned a lot of techniques that that are not necessarily marketing, but really sales focused. And so we began to position ourselves as the aerospace. From that, we learned we really need to position ourselves as the aerospace marketing expertise and think outside of Oklahoma, but also start thinking nationally and globally on the aerospace industry. So that's what we did with Chala. We got the sales training that we needed and beyond me. So there's 3 or 4 of us with that training. And then we started positioning ourselves as really a regional and a national aerospace marketing expert agency.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Dale? What did
That's
you
awesome.
do?
Well, so one of the first things was to refine that elevator speech, right? And to focus on a niche. So I did a bunch of niche research. I identified the ones where I had the best access to the check writer and the best fit for my knowledge, et cetera. That 3 or 4 point test that Chala has. And discovered, I had taken it for granted, but like I'm one of the few or the only PR firm in a niche called wireless internet service providers.
Mm.
These are small entrepreneurial companies that deliver internet service wirelessly, and it's the best solution for rural areas.
Mm.
So I went deeper. I started calling CEOs that I knew and asking about their pain and sort of, refine my elevator speech, targeted that niche. I did a couple of online webinars where I created my own webinar and invited people to come and talk about public affairs challenges in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
I got CEOs and VPs showing up and got a couple of leads out of that. So I also would just emphasize I kind of got over my fears a little bit of prospecting. One of the funny things about PR is there's a fair number of introverts in PR because we like being behind the scenes and putting other people forward. So
Right. Yes.
I just had this fear about calling people and being a pain and being annoying. And I just avoided it. I always made business development back burner. And by having the discipline of working with Chala, I made it more front burner and I just tackled it and kind of got past the fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we faced a lot of that as well, and especially on my leadership team, just kind of the fear of asking for the business.
Yep. And standing behind my prices, I raised all
Right.
my prices in the middle
Right.
of COVID and kind of worked out, how do I talk about my specialties so that they click a little bit better and I can stand behind, my pricing.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of results did you get?
Yeah, so we started doing roundtables at national aerospace events, and that was pre-COVID. But since COVID has occurred, we've continued that with webinars. And like you, we're having presidents of companies and CEOs who are coming to who came to those roundtables and are now coming to the webinars. In fact, we have one this coming Thursday, and there'll be. I think I just heard we have a high number of registrations for that one coming on this Thursday. And so so that was our way of broadening outside of Oklahoma. And again, the prospecting that you talked about, that was a fear that we had to get over as well. I mean, and Chala taught us a way to not make them cold calls, but to make them warm calls.
Yes.
And so that was a very, very good sales technique that we learned. And if the results were really, truly amazing. And so we've already started closing deals a lot faster than we were before, and specifically in the aerospace industry. And just by taking the approach that Chala has taught us, because we have established ourselves as the marketing agency in the aerospace industry, we're finding that's attracting interest and people are calling us. And one example would be, I'm sorry for the sirens if you can hear that in the background.
No worries.
Sorry. Um, so a aerospace company from Spain is locating its U.S. headquarters, and we just signed them on as a new client uh, just a couple of weeks ago. We're going to start working for them 1st of January. So we've signed a global aerospace company and they're establishing their U.S. headquarters here. And so they're going to be a client of ours, and we were very excited. So, like I said, just being out there and really starting to penetrate the aerospace industry on a national level, just word of mouth, and attracted people to Jones PR. For example, like this aerospace company from Spain, and we got the call when they wanted to establish their U.S. headquarters.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And what about you, Dale?
So the big shiny object that I can brag about is that within a month of hiring Chala, I had an opportunity to have lunch with a prospect that I've been pursuing for several months. Um, I used the sort of the conversation after the elevator pitch.
Yeah.
I used that script.
Yeah.
We talked a lot in that luncheon about, what's your pain? How does that show up? How much does that cost your company? Oh, millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
And how urgent is it to fix this?
Yeah.
Can I tell you about how I've helped other clients, get the attention of government policymakers? Went through it, and at the end of that lunch, we shook hands, and I sent her a scope of work, and I had a $120,000 contract.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah.
From one conversation, from one, lunch and conversation, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'll just mention also doing those prospecting calls. You call, you leave a lot of voicemails, and old me would have been discouraged, but I got through to a guy. I had a 15-minute conversation. He was like, "You called me at exactly the right time. I need a media effort done. Send me your proposal." So in one 15-minute phone call, I got like a $10,000 project, and I'm like, I need to make more of those 15-minute calls.
That's great. Oh, that's great.
So let's talk about what advice we would provide to the folks who are listening in here on working with Chala. What advice would you offer?
I would say, as much as you already know about marketing, it's probably just the tip of the iceberg, because when you work with Chala, you're going to find out there is so much more to learn, and there's so much more to learn in refining your pitch, and that will help shorten your sales cycle. But we're a marketing firm, and we're just amazed at how much more we learned from Chala. So my advice is hire her, because as much as you know now, you're going to learn a whole lot more.
Yeah.
How about you, Dale? What's your advice?
Everyone has to make their own judgment of the pros and cons, right? When Chala told me the price of one of her VIP packages, I was like, oh my God, there's no way I can do that. I'm financially tenuous right now. But when I thought about, if I could close one good, significant sized client, it would pay for her fee within a month or two.
Right.
And look, I've paid for her fee like 5 times over, 5 or 6 times over. Things that, I might have gotten on my own, but I really kind of doubt it, because I just wasn't getting it done before, and now I'm getting it done.
Right.
So I would say take the risk. Chala always has an actionable idea. It seems like in every conversation, she'll zoom in on like, do this.
Yeah.
It's something I can do right away. So that always is helpful.
I agree.
And just take the time. It's a little bit like drinking out of a fire hose, because she goes fast, and there's a lot of techniques and things to do. But I've chipped away at it for over a year, and it's really paid off.
Yeah. So it's paid off for us as well. And like you said, it just takes that first one, and you will have already paid for it. And then when you get 5 new ones, then
and again and
you
again.
get,
And in
that's a
fact,
strong return on investment.
I'm even implementing some of these tactics for my clients now. You know,
Oh, yeah, yes, we are.
CEOs
Yeah, we're
of rising companies that want to be better recognized.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I can apply this directly to my client work even.
Yeah, so it's kind of like duplicating her expertise, and we get to benefit from that.
Yeah. So, Crystal, I think we turn it back to you now.
Yeah. Well, I have Neil here. He's having sound difficulties, so he can't. I'll get to you in a second, Jen. He can't hear us, but I think we can hear him. So he was trying to type me questions, and I'm gonna see. Neil, can you turn on your mic? I'm gonna see, because it seems like I can hear him, but he can't hear us. So he wants to ask a question, and then he'll listen to the answer later. A little bit funky, but we'll see if we can make this what. Just give him 5 seconds here, see if he, because he said, in addition to these last 2 days of reflection, I'd like to vet.
Oh, that's me, Crystal.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
That's private for you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we can share anything.
No, I'd like you to, you know what, the floor is yours. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Well, I try to figure out, Neil, go for it.
Yeah, I have some questions. Dale, you said something like drinking from a fire hose. And so these last days, because I haven't missed any of them yet, I feel like it's drinking from a fire hose. And I didn't know if it's because she promised the 20 minutes, which she honored, and that was great. But it was too fast for me. So what do you do about that? Because you had a similar experience, like, you know, if there are new things or you have to implement. She was asking us to implement overnight, like by tomorrow, have this, talk to a few CEOs. Like, I can't promise you in the next 8 hours, I'll get, you know, a few CEOs to talk to me. So stuff like that. Like, what'd you do about that? She's fast.
Yeah, I would say chip away at it. Take it one step at a time. I remember early on, she said to me, like, can you call 20 CEOs for me by next week? Can you do that? Can you call 20 CEOs by next week? And I was like, no way. But I probably wouldn't have picked up the phone and called 10 of them if she hadn't egged on.
Right.
And I wouldn't have gotten in touch with a couple of them that week if I hadn't tried. So,
well, so you're answering well, and the only reason I'm targeting you is because you were the one who said it first while I was thinking it. So you're my guy right now. So it's that, and I 100% agree. If you call 10 of them and you get 2 great leads or something, it's still worth the. But the other thing is, it goes too fast for me to learn well enough. So how do you handle that piece?
I would say just go over it again later. So I've been working with Chala for a year, but I tuned into this masterclass, which was all sort of like Chala 101 for me, but I just listened to it all through again. She's very accessible. If you have a question, you just follow up with an email or a text and she'll get back to you unbelievably quickly.
I have noticed that as well. And it's not a criticism. I just know my own learning style is sort of deep and slower. But when I get it, I'll go teach it. But
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. And in that VIP day up in Toronto, Brenda, I'd be interested what your experience was like. But I was like, slow down. I still trying to compute the last thing you said, but I came home with a lot of notes. I went over my notes, and just chipped at it bit by bit.
Okay, because the natural, we're a good fit in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, I'm speedy, but in the way of sort of like learning stuff, I just wanted to know how people were handling that. Sometimes people can probably listen to it that fast and consume it. I can't.
I don't want to monopolize, but also like I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So sometimes I feel like Chala's work might be just the teeny weeny bit sloppy because she's going so fast.
Yeah.
But look how well she's doing. It's not so important to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
It's more important to get it done.
Yeah, and I would just add that, I never hesitate to, I'm probably, my mind probably moves a little slower than Chala.
Yeah.
And I mean, she knows it so well, but so I never hesitate to ask her to repeat things.
Yeah.
Or if it's too fast and I'm not getting the essence of it, I'll ask her to explain it, further or deeper. And she's very, very good about that.
And then what in the re-explanation, so people have kind of two styles of re-explanation. One is just to say the same thing again. And if you didn't get it the first time, you're not going to get it the second time. Or they sort of see where you're stuck and re-explain it in a way that addresses your stumbling point. That sounds like she's the latter.
Yeah. Also, I feel like she deals with, a variety of folks like us. So you have to sort of internalize what she's teaching you and apply it to your own company.
Yes. Yes. I'm seriously considering, so I'm not trying to waste anyone's time. I'm seriously considering this, but it's a big commitment of time and money. And so it has to be very vetted.
Well, I would add that, we've actually found her advice so helpful that we've actually renewed her like for another year. And so we're continuing to work with her beyond the initial commitment because of her value.
Uh-huh.
And we just need continuous training.
Yeah, well, the more you grow, the more things you need to know.
After my first package, I kind of let it lapse. And I was like, oh, I've learned enough. We can do this on our own now. 3 or 4 months later, everything had gone by the wayside again. And just having an appointment and sort of having homework and assignments helps keep me on track.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy to slip back into your old habits. Chala prevents us from slipping into our old habits. It's just so easy to do that. So she keeps us on our toes and keeps us sharp on the sales techniques in order to close the deals. And so, yeah, that's why we continue to renew with her.
Yeah, you guys sound like you're siblings from another mother. But also,
and we just met, literally.
What?
And we literally just met.
Yes.
Literally. Oh, yes, exactly. At 12:20.
That happens.
125.
That happens. That definitely happens. I had one more, and I know Neil has something, and I'll remember what my other one. Well, I'll say this last thing. It's all yours, Neil. So I have found in the mistakes, and all of us have made incredible mistakes in hiring coaches and consultants and programs. And I'm much better at it than I used to be. I usually am bang on now. But I have found that it's really important to me that the person I'm working with, my new mentor, deeply understands my business and sort of the way I function. And do you both feel pretty deeply understood who you are and what you do, pretty deeply understood by Chala?
Brenda, I'll let you go first.
So as a question, do we feel like we're understood by Chala in
your work and how you function,
yes,
your role and your business?
Yes, I would absolutely say. And on our calls, we have 3 different, so this is myself and my 2 vice presidents, and we are all different. And she truly understands how the 3 of us are different and how to relay that information to all of us really at the same time. And so no, she absolutely understands your business, and she takes the time to truly understand your business, your pace, your energy. So now she's very intuitive on that.
Yeah, it's really
important. She reads her audience very well.
Yeah, perfect. I teach that, so I like.
Yeah, she reads her audience very well.
Briefly, Jan, what's your business?
I do strategic communications, so I do everything. Here's my bad elevator pitch, okay? I do everything from radical listening, vibrant presentations. I was a freelance writer for years, so I have the sort of the literary aspect. I help people do fantastic speeches. I do storytelling is a big part of my business for business. Storytelling for business, difficult conversations. I actually am a certified mediator. So everything, and an arm of my company of one will help people write as well. I don't love that anymore. I want to be retired, so I bring writers in and supervise them heavily. So that's what I do badly.
Yeah,
I mean, I do it really well. I talk about it badly.
I think you'll be fine with Java.
Yeah, your company is similar to mine and Dell's, because I'm a public relations firm and we do storytelling and writing, handle difficult issues for clients, and Dell does the same thing.
There have been a couple times when I didn't feel like Chala understood what I was talking about in terms of some regulatory process or some legislative issue in Congress and how the US government works, but I wouldn't expect that anyway.
Right.
And what she was teaching me was relevant, and as I internalized it and applied it, it made total sense.
So as long as what she was teaching connected with what you know and what you do, that's all that really matters. I'm sure she learns what she needs to know to help you.
Right. Yes.
Really helpful answers both.
She knows my ops director's name. She knows my husband's name. So she's gotten to know us quite well. And
you can tell she's a family gal with her son. So she talks
She
about
is.
it right.
Yeah, sometimes he appears on Zoom with us too.
Well, and also was one of the first things she talked about and she's a single mom and I am, and my daughters are primo for me. So
yeah, me as well. So we relate in that as well. Any other questions, Jan, before I flip over to Neil?
Not right this minute, but there could be.
Okay, if there is, you just we'll bring you back. Neil, we got technology on our side now. Oh, you're muted.
Come on, Neil.
Can you hear? Oh, he's talking away.
Microphone.
Unmute. No.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Yes.
Right, well, I use the solution that I find that many IT people use. I hope you guys aren't IT. I just pressed every button that was around and I fixed the problem. So my problem is that I'm a product, like everybody, of the natural tendencies and experience. So I've always liked to teach people, but I've also always been a very competitive guy who needs to deliver results. And in my corporate life, I lived in 7 countries for 2 major internationals and worked with definitely more than 25, really, I could say 34 countries at senior levels. During that journey, I came, apart from finance, I probably did every discipline. So I gained a lot of skills. And because of the different cultural environments and because of the different challenges of the specific job, I had to train a lot of people. Now, some of those countries, in the Asian countries, they most spoke English. In all the Latin American countries, they didn't speak very good English. So another element that I did, so I did 3 elements really, or I do. If you see my website, it's a mess. Business English, coaching, and what my real job was, which got me into the coaching and the business English, was a consultancy. So I'd go into a company and fix the problems, change the structures and do all that. So these are the 3 elements on their own that I deal with. Then it gets worse within the coaching because I coach CEOs, I coach directors, I coach principally as well as the 3rd main band. I coach students or people coming from university and help them make the transition into professional life. So it's all because I've done each one, as you can see, I'm knocking on a little bit. So I've got a lot of experience of each and every one of them. And because of that, I find it hard mentally to say, throw away the consultancy, which was really my core business, which I don't really enjoy that much now. As Jan says, she doesn't really like doing some of the things she does. I really love the coaching because I see people develop, but I don't want to throw away 30 odd years of senior executive consultancy. And then when somebody comes to me and says, oh, I need some business English, I don't like to turn them down because my vocation is to help people. So it's a bad business model, yeah? What do you reckon to that? How do you niche down without feeling that you've given it all away, or you're giving a big block away when you could help people?
I think part of the answer to that is the research. So you don't pick your niche based on what you think might work. You think about the niches, what's the best match for your skill set and knowledge, where do you have the best access to check writers, where do you have access to conferences and meetings and places where you can meet people. I'm leaving one out, but by doing that and then talking to people, I was able to zero in on what they were telling me their chief challenge was. And I was not, it wasn't like I was changing what I do, but I'm just taking what I do and responding to what they say they need.
Yeah, we see what I find is somebody will come to me for business English, and that's normally because they're at quite a senior position in the company. That's why they need the English, because they either report to the States or to London. And very quickly, it becomes apparent to them that I can add more value to them by doing the coaching and, in fact, doing the consultancy, because their problems, what I'm coaching them on, are generally corporate problems or skill problems. So I'd say the skill problems are coaching, but the business problems they've got that I coach them on is really consultancy via a third party. Yeah? So it starts with business English, goes into coaching, but a big element of the coaching is the consultancy. And likewise, if somebody can come to me with the consultancy, it goes into coaching and into business English. So that's my problem, is to throw them away because they all come together in some sort of way, yeah? But I know it's hard to market like that. That's the craziness, yeah?
So I would, I don't know if this will help. So when we started, we didn't just pick aerospace out of the clear blue sky. We have about, I'll say, 4 industries that we were very strong in. And Chala taught us how to research those 4 different industries. And again, that involved, I think we called about 5 or 6 leaders. And these are people we know in each of those industries. And we had 5 or 6 questions. And the purpose of that was to drill down and figure out which industry had the greatest pain, and that also matched with our skill sets that we could really help. And that was, so we through that research, that's how we drilled down to aerospace, because we discovered through our research they had much more needs than healthcare was one area that we were looking at. And so that was how we drilled down to aerospace to really be our focus area. That does not mean you ignore all the others, but in terms of investing your proactive energy, that's where we focused it on. And we actually did it for a year. And then the second year, we were going to take another one on. We were actually going to take on cybersecurity our second year, but COVID happened and people don't really want to meet in round tables right now. So anyway, but that's how we narrowed down to aerospace. We didn't just pull it out of the sky. It was from research, and we could have picked any of those, but we discovered aerospace had the greatest pain points. And we had the best skills to fill and help them solve those pain points.
Yes, that makes absolute sense, yeah? And I can understand how that works. Yeah? So what I've got to think through is, by coincidence, 34 years traveling around the world, being responsible globally for 34 companies at the same time in insurance. So my industry would obviously be insurance. But a lot of insurance companies are associated with banks. So many of my clients come under the umbrella of financial services, which is then insurance. So now I've really got, I could pretend that I've only got one niche, which is financial services. And that's accepted in the marketplace. But below that, or once I start doing my work, there's two things: fixing problems and developing skills. And those things go across all industries because they're usually the same problems. It's either a lack of structure, a lack of leadership, relationships, attitude. And so if I was to follow your model, if you like, I suppose I'd have to focus heavily on the insurance industry and then take it from there, like you were going to do on another, if COVID hadn't happened.
Yeah, it's, I'm just, sort of, like on insurance, I mean, and there's probably a lot of different areas within insurance. I mean, you've got banks, you've got lawyers, you've got different types of insurance. So you might even look at all those different sectors and do your research and figure out which one of those has the greatest need. So your research helps helps you make the decision, because it was very glaring to us. So when we did the research on 4 different industries, it was obvious. There wasn't even a choice. It was very, very obvious. Aerospace was it. The others weren't even close in terms of their pain points. This was pre-COVID, and they were all doing just fine. You know, sure, they've got some pain points, but aerospace had critical pain points. So it was, and they were just dying for help.
So what would you say? What would you say that you fix generally? What's your main area of focus? Because mine is anything that's going on for that particular client.
Yeah, what was going on in the aerospace industry were 2 things: recruiting people. That was very, very difficult for them. And then they spent, a year training, say engineers, and then their competitor poaches them. So it was recruiting and retention. And the industry talked about, oh yeah, we all know we poach from each other. I mean, nobody was hiding it. Oh yeah, we all know it. We poach, but that's the only way they could get the skill sets they needed. So we developed, help them with internal and external communications and marketing to help recruit people, and for a whole lot cheaper than what they were spending to recruit people there, and then also to retain them. So that was what those are the 2 pain points we're helping the aerospace industry solve. And so the new Spanish aerospace company that we just signed a contract with, we're going to be helping them on recruitment here in the United States.
It's interesting that
engineers, they need high level. That's what they're recruiting for. It's high level engineers and executives.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the word retention, because one of the things I've been doing with recently is, because it's a year end, it's performance reviews, and I help people word the performance reviews and push and position. And I've just had one lady on a call crying because she's just had a review. She's just took a new job in the same company. She had 320 people in the workforce. Okay. She took a new area with another 340 for a 0 salary increase.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the elements of the retention. And the other one, the annual review today, of the company works on top performer, very strong and good. And she's outperformed everybody in the company, and she's only got a good, so she's got a demotion from the last 2 years, even though she's been outperforming. So another facet of my work with her will be now to find her a job, which is the placement element. So it is a crazy, it's hard for me because I can see how it absolutely works for you, yeah, because that is a real industry issue. Because I'm working at the sort of generally, unless it's consultancy, at the person level or the team level, all sorts of crazy stuff comes up. Because, I mean, imagine that, doubling your staff, not from 5 to 10, but from 320 to 550. And there's no money in the pot.
No, thank you.
So if I can make her happy, that means I've got good influence and skills. Because that's a challenge, no?
Neil, if I can give you two little pieces of feedback on this question. One is,
sure.
Think about Chala, the way she hooks people is elevator speech, but that's not all she does. Once she hooks you with elevator speech, then she teaches you all this stuff about marketing. Everything you've said in the last few minutes makes total sense, but I'll give you a little Chala style feedback here. You meandered a bit, you were all over the place, you used a lot of big words.
I like feedback.
And I wasn't crystal clear on what you do at the end of all that. Whereas you can take the same experience and knowledge that you have and figure out a way to get real specific on something that you are excellent at, and that opens the door to all the rest of that. And it's driven by what they tell you is their greatest pain point. Whatever that poor woman was crying about, that's her pain point. So
So these are all amazing things that we talk about very clearly in the B2B magnetic marketing program with Chala. Is we're starting to get into some of the nitty-gritty questions within the program. So we're going to, Neil, if you're interested or if you have any more questions, I encourage you to bring this offline with Chala, or with Dale and Brenda had given you their information if you have more questions upon that. But the URL for the program is repositioner.com/B2, the number 2B MM. And I'll type it into the comments too. And like I said, Chala is available by appointment to have any more discussions. Alicia, you just popped on. Did you have a question at all? And if you do, just let us know. If not, we're going to sign off here for today. And
or Kelly,
Crystal, I've got a question real quick.
Yes, who said that?
Michelle.
Michelle, please go ahead.
So Dale and Brenda, it sounds to me like you guys were working with Chala kind of more one-on-one with your company and not in a group like she's proposing with this new program. I just wanted to confirm that.
Well, for myself, no, from the very beginning, she did work with myself and my leadership team. That included, it started off with 4, up to there were 4 of us. So
but it was just your company. It wasn't you and
my company. Yes, it was 3 vice presidents and myself. They all had different focus areas, and I needed all of them to really understand how sales and how to shorten the sales cycle. And so, no, we started from the very beginning working as a team with Chala.
So Crystal, Chala obviously has different offerings, that this is not the only one.
That's right. So she has private one-on-one with clients, and 6 months private and $30,000. And then what the B2B is $10,000, and that's 1 year long program. And that's with a small group of people. And so it's kind of more semi-private. It's not a large group of people, so you're not going to get drowned out by everybody, but it won't be one-on-one intensive like Brenda would have experienced.
And then Crystal, she was saying that it sounded like she was only going to work with 3 people. I mean, she only has 1 cohort at a time. So
right.
3.
So she likes to keep them small, and so that you get more attention.
Okie dokie. That's
okay.
To that right now, Crystal,
Pardon me?
What's the enrollment at right now for this one that's coming up?
She has 2, but she'll make another cohort if needed.
So she will, okay.
She has
Yeah.
She has 2 people in the program right now.
Correct.
But she'll make a second cohort if she.
Yes, if it gets too big.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, thanks guys for sharing your experience.
It was really, really helpful,
Luck to you
both
all.
of you, Brenda and Dale. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Good luck to you all.
Yes, nice
pre-
meeting all of you virtually.
Yeah. Thanks, Brenda and Dale. We appreciate you so much. I'd like to remind you guys again that we have the closed door session tonight for the Zoom room. If you have not been already invited, you will be invited here shortly via email with your invitation link to join Chala tonight. That is, 7 p.m. tonight. You will be known by 5 p.m. Eastern time if you are in. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to message us on Facebook or LinkedIn or however you are connected with Chala, or book your meeting at repositioner.com/schedule.
Will it be the same Zoom link? Because for some reason I'm not getting the email, so I just have to get my own entry.
It would be. Yes.
It's the same. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Take care,
Thanks.
everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take care.